She had a name for it. Not the medical name. She knew the medical name so well it had lost its edges. Her name for it was simpler. Done. 7 years. 3 specialists. The particular hope that arrived every month and left every month. Done. She had closed the room at the end of the hall on a Tuesday morning. Yellow walls. Empty crib. The specific silence of a room that had been told to stop waiting. 11 months of walking past that door every single morning. Then someone knocked. She opened the door. A man. Simple clothes. CV in one hand. And beside him, a girl. Perhaps 4 years old. Dark curls. A stuffed elephant under one arm. The girl looked up. She smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a shy smile. The smile of someone who had decided, without evidence, without reason, that this person was safe. And beside the girl, slightly behind, watching, a boy. Perhaps 7. Dark eyes. The specific expression of someone conducting an assessment. He looked at her. He nodded. Slightly. Once. She felt something arrive in the place where she had put the word done. Something that was not done at all. She stepped back from the door. Come in, she said. All of you, stay with me. Because what happens next, nobody planned. Not her. Not him. Not the 2 children who had just walked through the door of a woman who had given up. And definitely not the little girl who, weeks later, would say one word that changed everything. Her name was Claire Ashworth. She was 36 years old. She had been married to Edward for 12 years. Edward was patient. He was 41 and ran Ashworth Industries and loved her in the specific way of someone who had loved the same person for 12 years and had learned the precise geography of that person's grief. He could not fix it. She had not asked him to. The room at the end of the hall had been their agreement. Not discussed, not announced. She had closed the door. He had not opened it. They had walked past it every morning on the way to the kitchen and had said nothing and had meant, in saying nothing, everything that needed to be said. The advertisement had been Edward's idea. The grounds need someone, he had said, properly. Someone who knows what they are doing. She had placed the advertisement on a Monday. On Wednesday afternoon, someone knocked. His name was Daniel Walsh. He was 34 years old. His wife Maya had died of cancer when Rosie was 1 and Noah was 4. 3 years ago, he had been with her through all of it, and he had arrived on the other side of it with 2 children and the specific task of continuing. He had continued. Noah was 7, serious, precise, the kind of child who processed things thoroughly before committing to them. Rosie was 4, warm, quick, the particular energy of someone for whom the world was still primarily a source of delight. She had her stuffed elephant. Ellie. Ellie had been present for every significant event of Rosie's life. Daniel had come about the job. He had brought his children because the arrangement for the afternoon had not worked out, and because, if he was honest, he had learned that bringing his children to difficult situations told him things about people that the situations themselves did not. The woman who opened the door looked at his children, and he watched her face. She made tea, not because she always made tea when people came, but because making tea was something to do with her hands. While she understood what was happening in her kitchen, which was that a 4-year-old had climbed onto her chair without asking and was looking around, with the comprehensive authority of someone who had decided this was where she was sitting. And a 7-year-old had sat across from his father with a book he had produced from his bag and was reading with the focused attention of someone who understood that adults sometimes needed time to talk. Her name is Rosie, Daniel said, and this is Noah. Hello, Claire said. Noah looked up from his book. He assessed her. Hello, he said, with the specific gravity of someone for whom greetings were not casual. Rosie held up her elephant. Ellie, she said. Hello, Ellie, Claire said. Rosie appeared satisfied. Stay with me, because in a few minutes Noah is going to say something that Claire was not prepared for, and neither were you. Daniel told her about his experience. 8 years of groundskeeping, 3 estates, a knowledge of plants and soil, and the specific requirements of different varieties that was genuine rather than performed. The roses along the east wall, he said. I saw them when I came up the drive. They're good varieties. Someone planted them knowing what they were doing. My mother, Claire said. 20 years ago. They need feeding, he said. The soil is compacted, but with the right attention they would be extraordinary. Noah looked up from his book. He says that about everything, Noah said. With the right attention. It's usually true, Daniel said. It is, Noah confirmed, and went back to his book. Claire looked at the 7-year-old. She thought, this child is remarkable. She looked at the 4-year-old still sitting in her chair with Ellie. She thought, both of them are. When can you start? She said. He started on Thursday. She watched from the kitchen window on the first morning. He worked with the focused competence of someone who understood what they were looking at. Systematic, precise, the specific attention of someone for whom the work was the point. The children came on Thursdays. She had not expected this. But when Daniel arrived on Thursday morning with Noah walking beside him and Rosie on his hip, and the child-sized trowel in his bag, she found she had no objection. Rosie went immediately to the patch of soil near the garden wall and set up operations with the specific authority of someone who had identified her workspace. Noah came to find Claire. Do you have books? He said. Yes, she said. Can I look at them while Papa works? She showed him the library. Noah stood in the doorway and looked at the shelves with the expression of someone receiving something they had been hoping for. He spent 3 hours in the library. At noon she brought him a sandwich. Without asking, he looked at it. Thank you, he said. You cut it diagonally. Is that all right? It's correct, he said. Mom always cut it diagonally. Dad cuts it straight. He knows I prefer diagonal, but he always forgets. She looked at the 7-year-old. I'll remember, she said. He looked at her with the assessment. Yes, he said. I think you will. Don't leave yet, because Claire is about to go into the yellow room for the first time in 11 months. And what she finds herself thinking will surprise you. She went into the room on a Saturday. Not planned. She had been walking past it, as she walked past it every morning, and she stopped. And for the first time in 11 months she opened the door. The yellow walls, the crib, the particular stillness of somewhere that had been told to stop waiting. She sat on the floor. She thought about 7 years. She thought about done. She thought about a 4-year-old who had climbed onto her chair, and a 7-year-old who noticed diagonal sandwiches, and a man who said with the right attention about everything because it was usually true. She thought about Rosie saying Ellie and holding up the elephant with the complete certainty of someone making an introduction that mattered. She thought about Noah's assessment, the specific way he had looked at her, and then nodded slightly, as though she had passed something without being told there was a test. She was still on the floor when Edward came home. He found her there. He sat beside her without asking. There's a man, she said. Daniel. He started Thursday. He has 2 children. I know, Edward said. You told me. Noah noticed the diagonal sandwiches, she said. Edward was quiet. Claire, he said. I know, she said. I'm not saying anything. I went into the room. That's all. That's not nothing, he said. No, she said. It isn't. Stay. Because the moment that changes everything is only a few minutes away, and it's going to come from the person you least expect. She made the diagonal sandwiches every Monday. This had become, without announcement, the Monday lunch. Noah had not asked for it. She had simply done it. And Noah had received it each Monday with the specific acknowledgement of someone who noticed everything and said only what was accurate. "Good," he said. The first Monday. "Very good," he said. The second. On the third Monday, he looked at the sandwich for a moment. And then he looked at her. "Claire," he said. "Yes. I want to ask you something," he said. "And I want you to answer honestly." "All right," she said. "Are you going to keep being here?" he said. "In the Fridays, and the sandwiches, and the garden." She looked at him. "I'd like to," she said. "If that's all right with you." He considered this with the thoroughness he brought to everything important. "It's all right with me," he said. "I want to tell you why." "Tell me," she said. "Because," he said, "Rosie needs someone. Not instead of Dad. Dad is everything. But someone who notices the snails, and appreciates the elephant, and cuts the sandwiches correctly." He paused. "And because I need someone to. Even if I don't show it the same way." "You don't have to show it," she said. "I know," he said. "That's why I'm telling you." She looked at the 7-year-old in her kitchen doorway. "No," she said. "Yes. Thank you," she said, "for telling me." "You're welcome," he said. "The sandwiches are ready. Don't go anywhere, because Rosie is about to say the one word that breaks everything open, and Claire is not ready for it." "Neither are you." She said it on a Tuesday morning, not to Claire, to herself, in the specific way of 4-year-olds who narrate their experience without self-consciousness. She was looking for something, moving through the kitchen with the focused search of someone who knew what they wanted and was going to find it. "Mama," she said. "Where is Ellie?" She had not noticed she said it. Claire had noticed. She found Ellie on the windowsill, where she always was, where Rosie always left her, and she gave her to Rosie without saying anything about the word. Rosie took Ellie and went to the garden. Claire stood at the windowsill for a moment. Daniel came into the kitchen for water. He looked at her face. She said it. He said. "Yes," Claire said. "I heard," he said, quietly. "I was in the hall." She looked at the garden where Rosie was telling Ellie something important. "Daniel," she said. "Yes. I need to tell you something," she said, "that I should have said before." She told him. The 7 years, the treatments, the room at the end of the hall, the word done. He listened the way he listened to everything. Completely. "The room," he said. "You went in on Saturday," she said, "for the first time in 11 months. What changed?" he said. She looked at the garden. "Wednesday," she said. "When you knocked." He came to stand beside her. They stood at the window looking at Rosie in the garden talking to Ellie. "Claire," he said. "Yes. Done," he said. "The word you had." "Yes," she said. He looked at the garden. "I had a word too," he said. "After Maya." "What was it?" she said. "Enough," he said. "I told myself just enough. Just get through enough. Just do enough." She looked at him. "And now," she said. He looked at Rosie. He looked at Noah in the library visible through the other window. He looked at Claire. "Now," he said, "I think enough might be more than I thought it was." Posa to segundos Edward found them at the window, not dramatically. He had come home early and had walked through to the kitchen and had found his wife and the groundskeeper standing at the window looking at a 4-year-old talking to a stuffed elephant in the garden. He stood in the doorway. He looked at Claire's face. He had known the geography of that face for 12 years. He had not seen this specific expression in a very long time. He went quietly back to the hall. He sat on the stairs. He thought about 12 years. He thought about a room at the end of the hall with yellow walls and an empty crib. He thought about a woman who had carried something for 7 years and who was standing at a kitchen window with an expression he had been hoping to see again for 11 months. He thought, "This is not what I expected." He thought, "But it is what she needed." He thought, "Love is not always the thing you provide. Sometimes it is the thing you make room for." Stay until the end, because what Edward does next will change how you see this entire story, and the lesson at the end will stay with you forever. He spoke to Daniel on a Thursday evening, not to confront. Edward was not a confrontational person. He spoke to him because honesty was what the situation required. "Daniel," he said. "Mer Ashworth," Daniel said. "Edward," he said. "Please." They stood in the garden in the particular evening light of a Thursday. "You know," Edward said. "What's happening?" "Yes," Daniel said. "What do you think about it?" Daniel looked at the roses, the east wall roses that were responding to attention and were going to be extraordinary in spring. "I think," he said, "that my children needed someone and found her. And I think she needed them and found them." He paused. "And I think he stopped." "You think you needed her too?" Edward said. Daniel looked at him. "I wasn't looking for anything," he said. "I came about the job." "I know," Edward said. "I had a CV," Daniel said. "Yes," Edward said. "And 2 children I probably shouldn't have brought," Daniel said. "I'm glad you brought them," Edward said. Daniel looked at him. "Edward," he said. "Yes. What do you want me to do?" he said. Edward looked at the house, at the lit kitchen window where Claire was making something, where Noah was reading at the table, where Rosie's drawings had appeared on the refrigerator next to a card that said for Claire in careful 4-year-old handwriting, "I want," Edward said, "what Claire wants," which is what she has been walking past a yellow room to get to for 7 years. He looked at Daniel. "I just want to know that you understand what this is." "I understand," Daniel said. "Good," Edward said. "Edward," Daniel said. "Yes. She cut Noah's sandwiches diagonally," Daniel said. "The first day, without being asked." "Yes," Edward said. "He told me," Daniel said. "That night," he said. "Dad," she remembered. Edward looked at the kitchen window. "Yes," he said. "She would." She showed them the yellow room on a Sunday. Rosie walked in. She looked at everything. She looked at the crib. "This was for a baby," she said. "Yes," Claire said. "The baby didn't come," Rosie said. "No," Claire said. "That's sad," Rosie said. Simply. "Because it was true and true things were worth saying." "Yes," Claire said. "It is." Rosie looked at the yellow walls. "I like yellow," she said. "It's the happy color. That's why I chose it," Claire said. Noah had come to stand beside Claire. He did not say anything. He took her hand, not dramatically. Simply. The specific gesture of someone who understood that some moments required presence rather than words. She held his hand. She thought about 7 years. She thought about done. She thought, "I was wrong about done." "Claire," Rosie said. "Yes. The room isn't sad," Rosie said. "It's just waiting." "Yes," Claire said. "It was." "Then," Rosie said, with the practical certainty she brought to all conclusions, "it must be very glad we came in. Here is what we learned. Done is not always done. Sometimes done is just the last thing you said before the knock came. The family you are waiting for does not always arrive the way you planned. Sometimes it arrives with a stuffed elephant and a diagonal sandwich and a 7-year-old who takes your hand in a yellow room without being asked." Rosie said, "The room isn't sad. It's just waiting." She was 4 years old. She was completely right. Noah said, "I need someone to, even if I don't show it the same way." He was 7 years old. He was completely right. The door was closed for 11 months. It was not locked. Leave the door unlocked. You never know who is about to knock. That is everything.